So I've had this table for a while, and it deserves a bit of love, and it's in a bit of a state. It's clearly veneered, and can't really see that there, but it's scratched and dented, and not in the best of shapes. I had hoped that I could sand down the veneer, which has got quite a nice ochre pattern, but around this side, you can see the veneer started to come away. Now, I could replace the thin strip across here, but I think I'm going to go for something a bit more fancy across the top. Underneath, the crossbar is missing the wedge tenons, or whatever they might be called. And around this side, the dog's chewed it, so I'm either going to have to lop the end of that off, or maybe make a whole new piece across the middle. First things first, so I will have to dismantle it. I started by removing the wings and the tabletop. Then, using a scraper and some chisels, I removed the flaky veneer. The tape in the holes was interesting to see, so I filmed a close-up. Then I removed the rest from this section, and yes, those are my pyjamas. After this, I proceeded to remove any remaining glue with a sander. Then attack the rest of the veneer. Here, I'm pre-gluing the wings before doing the iron-on veneers. This is something I picked up from David Picciuto from the Make Something channel. I used some clamps to perform a wobble test, just to make sure it's going to be actually strong enough when I do glue it. Thumbs up. Remember that dog tube part? Well, there's enough wood at the end just to simply saw that off and do the same at the other end. And using some scrap wood, I made some replacement drawer or wedge tenons, whatever they're called. Then I used a saw to cut through the old nails while I dismantled the base. And from here it's easy just to wiggle the sides off. And then use a hammer to get the remaining nails through. I removed the old finish from the ends and reshaped them using some sandpaper. Also making sure they still fit through the gaps. With the whole thing sanded, I applied 2 coats of dark stain. This is the Walnut from Colron. And then I rubbed on 2 coats of a Ronseal polyurethane matte finish. Happy with how that turned out, I then proceeded to do exactly the same to the sides. I was using a random orbit sander for the sides of the sides. And a barrel sander and a drill to smooth out the edges and remove any finish there. Then 2 coats of exactly the same stain. And exactly the same clear finish on the sides. I applied a new piece of veneer to a bit of plywood to test out some finish ideas here. Divide it into 6 sections, 3 stripes, one with no stain, one with 1 coat of stain, and one with 2 coats of stain. Then each half of those I've finished with a matte and a gloss for comparison. And unlike on the sides, I absolutely hated all 6 test patches. So I went to town and sanded it all the way back to the plain veneer. And tried a much darker stain that worked well on previous projects. And then finished that with some Danish oil, but I also hated that as well. Now. To take my mind off that, I re-glued and assembled the base, and then the bit I dreaded the most. But this actually went like a dream. It's almost therapeutic. The veneers all ironed into place nicely and smoothed down well. I'd left plenty of overhang, and it was simple to remove with a sharp blade. Then fashioned a large sanding block to neaten it up. And after those disappointing failures, I slapped on some Osmo Wood wax. It's a brown tinted version and it looked delightful. What could go wrong here? Oh, give me a break. The veneers had developed very nasty blisters. To be fair, the Osmo website said this could happen. And the fix was actually very simple. Put some small pricks into the blister bits and then iron it all back flat again. Put everything firmly back down in place. I put 2 coats of Osmo PolyX on top. That will both protect it more and leave a lovely surface. With the end in sight, I reattached the hinges, and then the wings I reattached to the top. And the job was done.